Hi everyone, this presentation is a part of my doctoral English training on preparing and presenting a scientific paper including a conference simulation. This training took place at the CLA, and the CLA is a language learning center, and it is a part of Marie and Louis Pasteur University in Besançon. And in this context, I will introduce my research question. So, my name is Behi Jahani and I am a second year PhD student in joint supervision between Marie and Louis Pasteur University in Besançon in France and Ibn Tufayl University in Kenitra in Morocco. So, today I will present my research and it's entitled Discursive Strategies and Textometric Analysis in Urban Planning Documents of the Emerging Centers of the City of Fez. This work is under supervision of Professors Thomas Buller and Abdelaziz Al-Arabi. And before we start, I should explain some technical concepts such as cities, centers, or emerging centers, urban planning, textometric analysis, and discursive strategies. In general, a city or a center is a place where people live and work, but cities are more complicated because they have more social, economics, and spatial dynamics. Emerging centers in Moroccan context means that is an area which is chosen and identified as a program by Moroccan policies and serve to develop or to help development, especially in rural territories or less developed areas. And those centers are expected to support development and to organize spaces and improve access to services. And I try through this research to explain that urban planning documents are not only technical, but they also contain texts, discourses, language, and that is ways to express ideas and vision about the future of all those different territories. So I use two methods, textometric analysis and discursive strategies. The first method means that I study words in text by using TXM software, and discursive strategies means that I study how people use language to express ideas and to influence others. And this research is structured around the three main objectives. The first objective is to define how this concept of emerging centers is formulated and used in urban planning documents. The second objective is to describe how this concept operates across different scales from national to regional and local urban territories. And the third objective is to identify different forms used in discursive strategies such as discursive vagueness, generic formulations, and strategic ambiguities. And to better situate this research, it is important to briefly present the territorial and institutional context of Morocco. So, since 2015, Morocco has been organized into 12 administrative regions, which aims to reinforce the regional governance and territorial development. My research focuses specifically in the Fez International region, which is located in the central part of the country. And within this region, the city of Fez plays an important metropolitan role, but it's also surrounded by secondary territories and emerging centers that are expected to support regional development and spatial balance. And those localities or those territories are often located in semi-urban or rural area, and they are increasingly integrated into national and regional urban strategies. Now we can talk about the problem statement. So this map shows the distribution of emerging centers in the province of Taunet, and those centers are seen as strategic areas that support development and reduce the gap between urban and rural territories. As we can see on the map, Some of those centers are classified as first-rank emerging centers, and others are classified as second emerging centers. And the idea behind this classification is to create a connection or network of those centers, and that can create or can provide services and more opportunities. However, in reality, several challenges appear. So, planning are often fragmented, decisions are still centralized, and as a result, local needs are not always well considered. And the situation leads to an important question, which is how are emerging centers represented in urban planning documents, and do those representation reflect really the reality? So, to better understand this context and those challenges, let's us to focus on a real concrete example. And for that, I choose the Emerging Center of Ain Aisha. It is located here in the centrium of the province of Taunet, and I choose it. I choose this center as case of study in this research. So, with this example of emerging centers of Ain Aisha, we have on the right in an urban planning document from 2014, and those area marked in green, they represent areas planned as green spaces, and this means other activities or building is not permitted in this area. However, we have on the left with this current satellite image that shows us there is another reality, and those areas used as parking spaces. So this example shows us that there is a clear gap between what we have in urban planning documents or what we planned and what exists in reality. And this raises other problems or other questions about governance and implementation. So, to replay those questions, this research is released on a specific methodological framework. So, methodologically, I used a mixed qualitative and quantitative approach. I combine between textometric, which is statistical analysis of text, with critical analysis of discourses. I also conduct semi-structured interviews with institutional and planning actors, and so to better understand their strategies and their positioning. So this interdisciplinary approach allows us to bridge between digital tools and urban studies, especially in the analysis of the urban planning documents. So, to conclude, I will briefly summarize the main perspective of this research. I can say that this research explores how language can shape territorial development in the emerging centers of FACE, and so by combining textometric methods and discursive strategies to identify some formulation of ambiguity and generic formulation, and so in order to clarify and or improve clarity in urban planning documents and in planning rules. Thank you very much for your attention.